So, good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Strawn. I'm the Assistant Director for Admission here at the School of Nursing at SF State. And here to my left is Ms. Connie Carr. She is the Associate Director for Graduate Programs here at San Francisco State University, and we are here today to share some information about our FNP track, both the MSN as well as the Postmaster's FNP certificate, as well as answer any questions that you may have. And so we will just go ahead and get started. Hi.
Welcome. We are taping this section so that people who cannot make it tonight will be able to at least hear some of the basics that we give information for, just for your information. I am the Director of the Family Nurse Practitioner Program, as well as the Associate Director for Graduate Studies, so I take care of some of the CNS track students as well. Tonight we're going to talk about the Family Nurse Practitioner track, both Masters and Postmasters curriculum. How many here are for Masters? How many here for Postmasters? So you already have a Master's degree. You'll be the only, you're here for somebody who is going to be getting a Master's degree, correct? Okay, so we have half and half. So I always direct people, as we start, what is a nurse practitioner, right? And you had mentioned that you're here for somebody who is actually considering the difference between a PA and NP. And there are quite a bit of difference in actual legal aspects of our profession. Nurse practitioners are prepared through advanced training, so you must have a master's degree and clinical training at the master's and postmaster's level. We're licensed to practice autonomously. Our license is independent of the physician. And in collaboration with other healthcare professionals, we are allowed to assess, diagnose, treat, and manage healthcare needs of patients of all ages. NPs also can serve as healthcare researchers, interdisciplinary consultants, and patient advocates. So it's quite a wide range, and it's much different than programs for other assistants in healthcare. The program history, we actually started 20 years ago. We are celebrating our 20th anniversary with our graduates. We were grant funded to begin in 1994, and the first graduates completed their program in 1996. We have approximately 20 students per year. I usually try to take an average of half of the master's FNP track, and the other half will be postmasters. The FNP master's concentration is 52 units over 2 years full-time. There is a part-time option, so I will get to that. Students enrolled in these programs complete their coursework in diagnostic reasoning, physical assessment, pharmacology, and you also do 600 hours of clinical practicum over 3 different courses, 200, 200, and 200, for a total of 600 practical hours at a site. Upon completion of the program, you're eligible for certification. In the state of California, you just apply for a license. The certification test is a national board test. You have to be board certified if you want to bill. And we do now sort of really encourage everyone finishing to sit for a national board. By law, nurse practitioners do not have to be certified in order to practice their craft. However, you cannot bill Medicare or Medicaid or CMS, and no one's going to hire you unless you bill those people. Consequently, you need to be certified. You can bill private insurance. But they too may have recommendations that you have to be certified. In fact, 20 years ago, we didn't all worry so much about certification because there wasn't a billing issue. NPs usually just billed incident to what everybody else was doing. Now we bill independently, so really there's a big push to get everybody out there. And if you left the state of California, 32 states in the union even have more autonomy. If you move to Oregon or Washington State, you could just hang out a shingle and practice like any other practitioner. So there aren't quite the restrictions. So we do try to tell everybody, please be certified, because it moves you along in your profession. I think you have the 2 roadmaps. There's a roadmap for masters, and then there's one for postmaster certificate. They pretty much, getting back here for a second, they pretty much have the same curriculum. The master's people have a lot more work in things that you have to take to get your master's degree: epidemiology, research in nursing, program planning, information technology, those kinds of courses that you have to take to get a master's in nursing. Those of you who already have a master's have already taken those, because you can't get out of a practice in nursing with a master's without those. So the postmasters people just concentrate on the other 31 units that are the actual clinical courses, all geared toward making you a nurse practitioner. Making sense? Frequently asked questions, full versus part-time students. I do allow part-time students. In the past, I actually graduated from a school that didn't allow it, and we had to go full-time, and it took 2 years. We had to have every weekday free to do practicum, and it was just the requirements of the program at the time. I try to be a little more flexible. I do have the majority of students going full-time, but I do have a separate track, and I'm very cognizant that some of those people have lives. They have children, and you might have a baby, or you might get married. I mean, I do understand life happens. So I do allow part-time, especially for those people who are working full-time and need their income. Not everybody can drop everything and come to class. Both. I do allow both. And you have to individually get with me, and I design a curriculum for you. So, because some classes are only given once a year, so I want to make sure you don't miss out on those as you're trying to finish. Certificate students are allowed to take clinical in the summer months. So you can do one of your clinical practicums in the summer, speeding up your graduation time or your completion of the certificate program. I try to be as flexible as possible. Most of the classes that I have for the master's NP students are 2 evenings a week for the master's in the first semester. After that, when you go to clinical, I try to have 1 day a week, maybe from 1 to 10, 3 classes, 1 to 4, 4 to 7, 7 to 10, and then every other day you have free to do your clinical or your work. Does that make sense? So, and I've designed the program so that master's students, even the postmasters, the first semester you come, there's no clinical. So you come 2 evenings a week. It's usually a Monday or Tuesday, a Monday, Wednesday, something like that. And you start at 3 and you end at 10, 2 evenings a week. Just core work, your health assessment class, your pharmacology class, right? Things that you're going to need before you go out and see patients. So I try to get those classes right away, 2 evenings a week. After that, I try to have 1 day where you come a half a day from 1 until the evening and get them done. And so far, this past 2 years, I've been pretty successful getting them all in 1 day for the second-year students. The problem comes when you take it part-time. Sometimes your classes are sort of mixed in, so it's difficult to get exactly what you want when you want it. That's the only caveat to putting them all on the same day.
So I'm sorry, if you do it part-time for the postmasters, is it 2 years or 3 years?
If you do it part-time, you can do it as you want. By university regulations, once you start, you have to finish within 7 years. However, if you don't take at least 1 class per year, you have to reapply because they consider you gone. So if you take 1 class per year, 1 3-hour class, you have 5 to 7 years to complete it. However, pharmacy only lasts for 5 years with the state of California. You have to take pharmacology within 5 years for them to give you your furnishing number as a nurse practitioner. Okay? Any questions?
So just think about this, so a minimum time you do a part-time master's and practitioner combination would be 4 years.
Part-time, if you go part-time and you're an MSN, not master's FNP student, you can take as slow or as fast as you want. You can do it over 3 years, over 4 years, either way. I have different tracks I can put you in. Okay. 3 years is generally what I try to get students through. After the first semester, people who haven't been in school for a while are kind of nervous, but after the first semester, people usually come back to me and say, hey, I could do this after all. Let's kind of speed it up. It's not as bad as I thought. Things like that. I know, does your sister, you're here for somebody, does she live far away as well, like in
Oh,
Sacramento?
that's not problem. She's got transport, that's not
But I'm just saying that because we do have a lot of, I have 2 students right now from the Sacramento area, and so I do have preceptors there. People can do their clinical out there.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask about clinical sites. There you go.
Next slide. See, clinical sites, that was the question. Clinical sites are everywhere in the county. We do ask that if you know someone who would like to precept you, many nurses work in hospitals or clinics and they know nurse practitioners. If you know somebody who's willing to precept you, you're very welcome to give us their name, and then we do everything. We do all of the contacting, all the contracting. Your job is just to ask if somebody would. In the state of California, all public schools, I am required to find you a preceptor, and we do find you preceptors. They may not be where you want to go. They may be kind of a far drive because we don't really all have, we're here in the, southwest San Francisco area, so there really isn't a lot here. People drive to San Jose, some people live over the bridges, so we have placements everywhere. We can't guarantee that we could find 3 placements near your home, so you may have to drive. That's why some students do network in their own jobs and find people that will help them. And we're more than willing to do that.
And so your preceptors have to be nurse practitioners?
Your preceptors have to be nurse practitioners. No, physicians. Having said, I said it out loud and then I made a mistake. Your preceptors may be physicians or nurse practitioners. We used to try to give everybody one clinical practitioner with a physician because it's a much different experience when you work with a physician than when you work with a nurse practitioner. We practice differently. It's kind of an interesting experience. Our clinical sites are everywhere. So, and like I say, even in Sacramento, I've had students every year come from Sacramento, so I have lots of placements actually out there. Any other questions? So when you're finished, these are the 2 credentialing bodies that I encourage people to take the certifying exams. One is the American Nurses Credentialing Center, and ANCC credentials all nurses, not just nurse practitioners. So some people who are CNSs and already certified, they're much more comfortable with this. We now have a national organization, much like the AMA. We have the AANP, the American Association for Nurse Practitioners. And it's an amazing group. They've combined 2 groups that used to be splintered into one amazing lobby group. It's a great group, so I encourage people to consider this one now because we've proven ourselves to be a very strong body, and we're really getting stronger every day, this group here. But either is acceptable for Medicare, Medicaid, CMS billing. So you can take any test you want. And Robert's going to tell you a little bit about admission criteria, which is slightly more complicated than my part.
Thank you, Connie. So what do you need to be eligible for admission to either the Postmaster Certificate or the FNP MSN? First, you must have a valid California RN license. We do, on occasion, have people, actually I won't say that. You need to have the California RN license. You need to have 1 year at least of RN clinical experience. It does not matter how long ago. Our minimum requirement is that you do have at least the 1 year.
How long has it been? 12 years. So you're not working as a nurse? Well, I'm using my nursing license, but I do clinical research, so. Oh, that's nursing. But I'm not seeing patients.
Yeah, there's another question.
Yeah, when you say clinical experience, does it have to be acute care, or can be home health or clinic?
It can be home health, community, public health, and just work as an RN for at least 1 year. you do need to have graduated from an institution of higher ed. So in other words, you need to have a bachelor's degree. It can be in nursing, or it can be a non-nursing bachelor's degree as well. Individuals who come in with a non-nursing bachelor's degree but have, years of RN work experience, perfectly acceptable. We generally do require them to take some additional coursework to bring them to the BSN level. So that would be taking a community public health nurse course as well as an undergrad nursing research course. That is indeed at our discretion, and sometimes people may come in with experiences that enable them to get waived out of that. But we do require those 2 additional courses for individuals with a non-nursing bachelor's degree. For those of you who are interested in the FNP certificate, well, it's a postmaster's certificate, so we're looking to see that you have at least a master's degree in nursing. Okie doke. For the MSN students, the GRE is required for admission into this program. So we are looking for a 4 or higher on the analytical writing portion. For those of you who are pursuing the postmaster certificate, well, you've done a lot of writing over your years of education, and so we aren't requiring the GRE of you. Three letters of recommendation are required. And a personal statement. And I'll talk a little bit more about the latter 2 as we talk about the actual application. So there are 2 applications that are required for admission into these 2 programs. One is the application to the larger university. That is the CSU Mentor to San Francisco State University. So you're completing the graduate application. Those of you interested in the MSN program, you're selecting the FNP concentration track here. And if you're pursuing the postmaster certificate, this is the program selection that you would choose. We are in the midst of the application period. We started accepting applications on October 1st, and the deadline is on February 1st, 2015 at 8:59 p.m. and I will talk a little bit more about why I emphasize that. It's related to part 2 of the application process. We do very strongly recommend that anyone who is applying for fall of 2015 admission, or really even if it's a following year, that you complete the CSU Mentor application to the university first. Reason being is that on the part 2, on the nursing application, we're asking you for a San Francisco State University ID number, and that number you receive from the university after submitting the CSU Mentor application. So we do strongly recommend that CSU Mentor application gets completed first and early on in the process. Part 2 is the School of Nursing supplemental application. And we are using a service called NursingCAS. So NursingCAS is a service of the American Association for Colleges of Nursing. It permits applicants to enter their information on this one application. It's sort of like a common application, and you can apply to multiple participating nursing schools. So we participate locally. I know for certain programs UCSF is, and you can just log on to see which other schools are participating. You create an account, and my recommendation is that once you do that, you select your program, of course, so either the postmaster certificate or the RN/MSN, and then you go directly to the dashboard here. And this icon here in the upper left, will always bring you back to this page. But this section here just sort of helps you navigate and keep track of your progress in terms of completion of the application. So you need not complete it in one sitting. You can do some one day, come back another day, so on and so forth. But once you do go to this page here, go to the program materials page. And it is on that page where we have some very specific guidance on which sections of Nursing CAS we would like you all to complete. So I have here a sample of the FNP concentration page. So there's a little info about the program, our eligibility requirements. We again talk about the application process. That's the part 1. And the part 2, just here at the bottom, we tell you specifically which sections of Nursing CAS. So of course, manage my programs, that's your program selection. And by the way, you're permitted to apply to only one nursing program in a given admission year. So just thought I'd put that out there. Sometimes I see people applying to multiple programs, not necessarily for the FNP, but for the regular MSN. Someone may be undecided between women's health and pediatrics, for example. We do ask them to choose one program. So just throwing that out there. So there's the personal information section. That's pretty self-explanatory. Academic history. So colleges attended and transcript entry. So everyone here, regardless of program, is completing the colleges attended section. So you would be entering the names of the institutions of higher education that you've attended, the dates of attendance, and once you do that, there are going to be 2 different prompts. For those of you who are pursuing the MSN, there's going to be a prompt to print a transcript request form, and you should actually go ahead and do that. You'll print that transcript request form and send it to the registrar's office of the schools that you've listed. So that's for the MSN students. For the postmaster certificate students, the process is slightly different, and we are requiring of you an unofficial copy of your transcripts. So for all the schools that you've entered, you are uploading unofficial copies of your transcript onto Nursing CAS. So that's just a little bit about academic history. Moving on, supporting information. So evaluations or references. So all references are completed electronically via Nursing CAS. So you simply enter the name and email address of the individuals you would like to complete a reference for you. They'll receive an email from Nursing CAS asking them to complete that reference. And what my recommendation is that you actually, of course, you'll be in touch with these individuals, but just coach them and give them some sort of timeline so that it's received onto the system in a timely manner. The types of individuals who typically complete references can be like your nurse manager, it can be like an advisor from school or a professor. Professional references, those are the types of references we normally see. Each person is writing a little basically recommendation letter about you, as well as completing a reference form. So you just rated on certain characteristics. So the two, both the letter and the form, will comprise one reference. So just putting that out there, and if you can just convey that to the individuals who are completing references for you. Finally, there is the program, oops, I kind of got ahead of myself here, the program materials section. Actually, so here's a little screenshot of when I talked about the college entry. So you just see right here, This is where you download the transcript request form, and for those of you who are postmaster certificate, you're literally just going to click this to upload a copy of your unofficial transcripts. Just thought I'd kind of give you guys a little visual with that. Yes, sir?
So for the postmaster, you don't need the official one, and just unload.
Correct. So for the postmasters applicants, you don't need official transcripts for nursing CAS. But for the university, that is the CSU mentor application, everyone is submitting official transcripts to the SF State Division of Graduate Studies. So getting back to the the program materials section, specifically documents. So it's here where we're going to ask the master's students to upload a copy of their GRE score report, a copy of the California RN license. You'd like a copy as well of your CV or your resume. And finally, everyone completes a personal statement. And these actually are the questions that we're asking of applicants this year. And so the essay should be between 250 and 500 words. It should address each of the 5 questions. It should be grammatically correct and really synthesize thoughts and ideas. The personal statement is a really strong and important piece of the application. As Connie here is, it's a really strong piece, important piece of the application. There's good. It's quite heavily weighted. So of course we're interested in your grades and your GPA. By the way, in your last 60 units of coursework attempted is what we're looking at. It's that, and then right after your GPA, your goal statement is what's most important. We'd like to know, as it's really for the master's students, is it's a graduate program, and there'll be lots of writing in the graduate program. We'd like to know that really you can really write and that you'll get through the program, and also that the program is a good fit for you. For someone who wants to become a nurse anesthetist, for example, or a nurse midwife, well, we don't offer those types of programs here. So goal statement, really important, and address all the questions within the word limit. Any questions on anything at all that I've talked about? Or anything that Connie Carr has talked about? So we're opening the floor for questions, all types of questions. Yes?
So you said that you accept 20 students per year, and I was wondering how many you've got.
All right, so how many applications do we receive for these programs? So for the postmaster certificate program, I'd like to say that we receive ballpark 40 or so, 45 applications or so for that program. And for the MSN program, and this will include all tracks, not only the FNP, but ballpark 60 to 80 or so applications. And we're taking a total of 20, and often we try to get at least 10 NP, but it is going to be based upon what the applicant pool looks like and what people actually, what their program of choice is. So if we have 0 NPs, well then we can't take any NPs, for example.
So what's
Yeah.
the total of 20? They're not all NPs.
So the total of 20 is across the entire MSN program. So that includes the FNP, it includes our community public health, that includes nursing administration, and all of our CNS tracks as well.
That's so tiny.
Yes, it is. It is a small program.
So the problem is actually it's not that small. Most graduate programs I went to UCSD San Diego State, and we only took 8 per year NP students and 8 certificate. The problem isn't that the program, that we don't have, the problem is we don't have preceptors. And we've tried over the years to grow our own. And so as soon as people graduate, I encourage them to take a year and then come back. I have yet to really grow enough that I can take more students, and that's the issue. Sometimes people will come to me and say, I'm military, I have all my own preceptors, and then of course, you know, we can take an extra student or two. But it really comes down to the number of people I have in the community willing to precept. So for instance, like I say, I had 2 students in Sacramento, and since we had preceptors there, they were extra because I didn't need to find them preceptors locally that would be affecting the rest of my students. So it all depends year to year what we have. Sometimes if we have a lot of part-time students, and we have a lot of students left over to find preceptors for, so you can't take as many full-time that year. So it all depends on sort of what's going on in that year.
And what the pool is looking like.
What's the smallest group of nurse practitioners?
The smallest classes,
Well, I shouldn't say classes, but what's the smallest number?
cohort,
Yeah.
usually about 10 per year of the masters, and then we take, I think this year we only had 7 or 8 postmasters because we had 11 or 12 of the
So if you did
masters.
like 7 or 8 people applying, you wouldn't have,
A postmasters program?
or any of them.
Yeah, we would always have an FNP master's program because they take almost the same classes as all the master's students have to take. So there really aren't a lot of, there's 2 or 3 extra they take, and then their practicums are different. So we always accept the master's students. The certificate program, we already have several who have started to apply. So I think we'll have a big enough pool.
Right.
And this year is not going to be an issue either. We will have a cohort of certificate students. And in the future, our certificate students are going to have a little break too, because we have a new program coming on. So some of the classes are going to be the same as the classes we have for another sort of extended college learning program. So yeah, we're going to continue to take them.
I'm currently is a women's health NP.
You are? You're a women's health MP.
And
Okay.
I want to share the FNP.
Okay.
And is this the same curriculum, or do I have any?
And you're a women's health NP from, where did you go to school?
Oh, I went in that long time ago.
Long time ago.
1995.
So we had another student in the past who came with a pediatric nurse practitioner who wanted to be a family nurse practitioner. Unfortunately, your classes are so far in the past. If they haven't been within the 7 years, the university doesn't accept them. So all classes have to be. Now, having said that, though, I wouldn't give you any women's health clinical because you've already had that. So we would give you more peds, more geriatrics, more family in the program, depending on experience, right? But if you are a practitioner currently and you want a family certificate, then certainly if you've taken classes in the past 7 years, sometimes I can transfer in some of those credits, a pathophysiology class, a pharmacology class. Frequently we have people transfer in. Up to 6 credits are transferable into the university.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask about that, because I did part of the nurse practitioner program at the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania.
Was it, you recently did, how
Yeah.
recent was the program?
Yeah, I just stopped spring of last year.
So 6 hours are transferable in.
Okay. And does it matter which 6 hours you do?
We will sit down together usually and try to decide what makes more sense. Do you need more of the clinical? Would you rather have us use your research so you don't have to repeat that kind of thing? We would do it independently, yeah, individually. Other questions?
So I have some info. Something that you guys haven't asked about yet. How much does it cost for the program?
This is so much cheaper than like anything else. It's not even a fact.
And so
Are you kidding me?
graduate education at San Francisco, so this is for the MSN. It's different for the postmasters. Graduate education at San Francisco State is currently a little over $3,800 per semester. and the MSN program is 4 semesters. And that 3,800, by the way, is on a full-time basis. It's prorated if you go part-time. For the postmaster certificate program, it's currently $675 per unit, so $675 per unit for the 31-unit program. And that program is run out of the College of Extended Learning. So it's a San Francisco State University, it's a school of nursing program. It's all of our faculty. We advise you. Just the enrollment is managed by the College of Extended Learning here at San Francisco State. So just want to throw that out there in case anyone's interested. And by the way, for the MSN students, there is financial aid available. Much like when you completed your undergrad degree, you complete the FAFSA form, that is the free application for federal student aid. The information will be sent to the university's Office of Student Financial Aid, and they'll create a financial aid package for you. For those of you interested in the postmaster certificate, well, because it is not a degree program, financial aid is not available. That said, we in the School of Nursing, as of late, we've been getting scholarships for nursing students. And so once you're admitted, we would be sending you a list of what scholarships may pertain to you. Okay, doke.
Just to unpack it, so you've got 20 students, and you've got you're looking for funding for these through scholarships for these 20. So typically, what is a student? How much funding does a student attract through scholarship?
So the question is really about how much financial aid does a student receive. And I regrettably don't have the answer to that question. That really is all managed in the Office of Financial Aid here on this campus.
I do know right now, though, the government has a lot of money for nurse practitioners because of the Affordable Care Act. So if you go on the web and you look, in fact, I have 2 students right now who are on special government funding. I have to fill out forms for them every semester. So there is money out there. People really have to do a lot of their own legwork, but we do support. When you find something, I do write everything up you need. I have to say, I'm the director. I'm pretty hands-on. I'm here at least 4 days a week on campus. People can always get a hold of me personally when they're in one of the curriculum. I do kind of run sort of a tight ship. I was military, can you tell? So I kind of run sort of a tight ship, but I try to be flexible and understanding. Certainly, life does happen. But like I say, there's always somebody that you can call. We can work things out together. It's a very tight-knit group. It's a very cohorted group. So you'll start with your 10 people, and you'll finish with your 20 people, because then the certificates join in midway through, and you all sort of know each other. It gets to be a very cohesive group.
So for the postmasters, if I went part-time and I wanted to finish it as early as possible, how long would that be? Is it 2 years or is it 3 years?
So for the postmaster students, if you go part-time, so going full-time, it's about a year and a half or so, because we do try very hard to get you to have your clinical during the summer, so it takes about a year and a half full-time. If you go part-time, it makes it about 2 years, probably max. There might be an extra summer at the end of that to do a last clinical.
One of the major reasons when I came, I'm a 12-month employee, so I instituted this summer clinical, not only to speed you up so that you're done, but also it frees time that I can take more students, right? Because if you can get the certificate students through the summer, then in the spring when I have the big push, they're gone. So I don't have, quite the glut. The first year I was here, we had like 45 or 50 students to place in the spring semester. I've gotten it down to spring semester about 30 to 35. So that's manageable compared to. So that's why we ask certificate students, if you're going to go part-time, do summers. It's much easier for us. It's slower paced. We can come visit you. It's a much easier, way to do it.
So for the postmaster full-time, does that mean
Full-time postmasters, you will come the first semester there's no clinical. You'll come 2 evenings a week. The second, after that, each semester, you will do your clinical and come on campus 1 day a week. Okay? And I tried to get all of the courses on 1 day so that after the first semester, because you have clinical, so for instance, this year, my second-year students are on class. The masters are here from 1 to 4, 4 to 7, and 7 to 10 on Wednesday. They have all the classes on Wednesday. And the CEL classes come for one of them from 4 to 7, and that's the only time they're on campus. The rest of the time, you're in clinical or you have your own jobs, etc. We try to make our program work for the working nurse because it's really hard, especially in San Francisco, not to have a job for 2 years and try to support a family. It's nearly impossible. Pay rent. It's really difficult. So I do try to be as flexible as I can. Unfortunately, sometimes the master's nurses have to work every weekend for the 15 weeks in the semester so that they can get their clinical during the week. If you have a preceptor during the week, it's 15 weeks. I know it's hard. We tell people just get through it. And your coworkers will love you because you're working all their weekends, right? And then sometimes I get really lucky and I have weekend preceptors. In fact, I have 3 right now. So I have some students who, for some reason, are single parents and they cannot get away during the week. I have 3 preceptors that are doing weekends for some of those students, which is rare, but sometimes we can find them.
So, sorry, I have a question about clinical. So how should, it says in here, like, for your clinicals, it's kind of...
There are 3 clinical classes, 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 12. They each require 200 hours of clinical practice. So, for instance, 1.5 to 2 days a week for the 15 to 16-week semester.
Right.
Okay? We try to give you a varied experience. Everyone will do 200 hours of primary care or family practice. Then we try to give you a little pediatrics, a little bit of women's health, and then we try to give you an elective. So, for example, if you worked in a certain place, dermatology, interventional radiology, and they were going to hire you afterwards, you could do your 200 hours of clinical practicum, your last one, as your elective, because they were going to hire you. I'm trying to be as flexible as I can. And we do have a lot of people who will work at Stanford or other places, and they are going to be hired there when they're finished. So it's the way to get your last sort of job application in your last semester. Yeah. We do have a contract with CVS Minute Clinic, so we do a lot of primary care clinicals with them, and they do hire from our pool. One of our students was hired. 2 of our students were hired.
Is that just local contract?
Local. We're the only ones in San Francisco area that got the contract so far. So, other questions?
Is your pharmacology taught by a pharmacist or
Ah,
It is.
pharmacology. I actually, when I came, I made a concerted effort to really, I've redone the curriculum, and every single course is taught by an expert in that area. Pharmacology is taught by a PharmD. I think he's at UCSF or Kaiser, can't remember, Dotran. He's fabulous. We also have included the mandatory DEA class in there that nurse practitioners have to have in California. The pathophysiology is taught, the first one for adults is taught by an expert in pathophysiology who's taught at several universities in the area now. And our second one is pathophys for women and children, and that's taught by experts in women's health and in pediatrics. Physical assessment, we have just a variety of people who teach physical assessment because every nurse practitioner knows how to do a physical assessment. That's a basic skill, sort of like a nurse taking vital signs. Doing a health assessment is our basic skill. I am trying to incorporate new things all the time. I learn from you guys. We're incorporating new training on nutrition in health assessment. We're going to incorporate new, we're part of a cohort research study with UCSF and USF. Our School of Nursing here at SFSU is part of the new SBIRT training, which is screening, brief intervention, and referral treatment core curriculum, sort of the new motivational interviewing skills that you're going to be hearing about a lot. And we're part of that, so we're going to be incorporating that into training next this spring as well. So I try to keep up, and I'm also, every nurse practitioner on our staff works clinically. So we're not outdated. I actually work at Stanford per diem. So 1 or 2 days a month, I don't work a lot, but Sunday I'm working. So if you're at Stanford. So, and I do palliative medicine. I've done it for many years. I also do hospice work every Thursday morning. So I do some home visits as a nurse practitioner. So all of the nurse practitioners in our program still continue to work. Our placement coordinator, Jay, is a pediatric nurse practitioner at LPCH. Elaine Christian is a women's health provider. She continues to work in the North Bay. So we all keep up on what we're doing. No dinosaurs. Does that answer your question? So you can ask me a clinical question and I'm up. I should be up on it. If I'm not, I'll find out.
So we are coming to a close, but I thought that before we left, I would just provide you all with a few resources. So the American Association for Colleges of Nursing, as you see here, this is a place to begin your search for financial aid. If you have questions about some specific questions or further questions about what nurse practitioners actually do, you can find that on the AACN's website. They have a wonderful students section. Nursing Cast does have a customer service. They are based on the East Coast, and that is the reason I specifically said that the deadline is at 8:59 p.m. on February 1st. And so it's Eastern time. So just wanted you all to be aware of that. And so the types of questions that you'd be asking Nursing Cast is if you're having issues uploading any documents or you're following up on your references, those are the types of questions to ask Nursing Cast. If you have questions about the actual nursing program, well then you'll just contact us here in the School of Nursing. So here's our contact info here at the bottom. And then finally, if you have any questions at all about the CSU Mentor application, you contact the SF State Division of Graduate Studies. And by the way, I'll just give you all a little tip on the CSU Mentor application. That application does ask for a personal statement and references. In the personal statement section, you need only indicate that you're submitting your personal statement directly to the academic department. So just go ahead and do that. And for the references section, you can simply click through the references section. So on CSU Mentor, no references are needed, nor is a goal statement needed for nursing applicants because you're doing those for us on this supplemental application via Nursing Cast 3.0. Any other questions at all? Yes, hi.
So the curriculum only starts in the fall, correct?
So we have only fall admission. And so you're applying by February 1st, and our goal is to have our decisions out to you by mid-April or so of 2015.
Having said that, though, let's say you got admitted for the fall and you had a baby and you couldn't start right away. I have occasionally started somebody late. So I shouldn't, but I have. So, because if you get accepted into the program, right, and you're going to start, and then something catastrophic happens, and you have to leave because your father died or something, sometimes I let you catch up. So, we only do fall acceptance, yes, but if something happened, I wouldn't.
So that would be an extreme exception. The official policy here at San Francisco State is that if you do not accept the offer for admission the semester in which you apply, you would need to reapply. So the university officially does not offer deferrals. And so there would need to really be some sort of extreme circumstance in order for us to make that happen. So I just wanted to really put that out there, not only for you guys, but for everyone else who may be listening. Okay,
Yeah, and sometimes we encourage people when something does happen and you do apply, but something happens, we might need to take one class, right, to keep your place. Okay. Any other questions?
Well, then this comes to the end of our session, and we thank you all very much for coming. We look forward to seeing your applications, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.